Well, after speaking to that group, the Minister of State for Finance accompanied Prime Minister Perry Christie to a fiscal position seminar at the Sheraton Nassau Beach Resort. They were there to inform senior government officials about the state of the economy. This days before the 2012-2013 budget begins. Altavi's Munnings reports.
That we are currently in the midst of one of the most difficult and challenging economic and fiscal periods in the history of our nation.
It's a financial forecast that senior government officials probably expected to hear. The million-dollar debt figure climbing and expenditures exceeding revenue. Minister of Finance, Prime Minister Perry Christie, painted the gloomy picture Wednesday to senior government officials responsible for managing the country's affairs. In his passion to enhance the livelihood of every Bahamian during this present term, Prime Minister Christie contrasted the economy's effect on the poor. He believes that the public administration system doesn't allow senior civil servants to acknowledge the plight of the underprivileged.
But if I'm walking through streets in the Bahamas and I come across repeatedly cases of young women who are unemployed, who have children, and I ask, well, where are you going to get the meal from today? And they can't tell me. Much more damning when I come across young men who said they hadn't eaten that day, and one or two of them will say they're going to rob somebody that night.
But with the new government comes new policies, and the Progressive Liberal Party administration wants to set new policies, particularly in tourism, to combat unemployment and the high crime rate. Not only in our number one industry, though, Mr. Christie recognizes the opportunities in agriculture and marine resources, too.
We must make a real effort to maximize the impact of establishing linkages, because tourists eat. And to the extent that we're able to produce, and we have indications of what we can produce.
With more attention placed on revenue collection this new fiscal year, Prime Minister Christie announced that he has drafted a white paper recommended by Finance Ministry officials on taxation, particularly value-added tax.
The paradigm shift that brings about is so fundamental that we're going to need every one of you to understand it, to contribute to it, and if we move forward with it, to make it happen.
And then in a twist, Prime Minister Christie advised senior civil servants that he expects them to report any problems from cabinet ministers. It's all a part of his way to maintain effective governance.
I said to the Commissioner of Police, even on these matters, I said, listen, I'm the maker of policy, you're the interpreter for me. But the one thing I expect from you, if you think it's the wrong thing to do, you must tell me.
The new fiscal year starts July 1st. Altavi's Munnings, ZNS News.